At 11:42 p.m., you refresh the app for the third time. $10,000 invested. The dividend lands like a weak pulse. $31.24. Not enough to change your life, enough to change your mood. That is the first thing nobody warns you about. Small money does not feel powerful. It feels almost insulting until it starts arriving on its own. $10,000 to $25,000. At $10,000, you are not living off dividends. You are observing them. A few dollars show up, then a few more. A number too small to impress anyone, but you still check it twice. It feels private, like a secret your future self has not fully earned yet. At an average 3% yield, $10,000 gives you about $300 a year. That is not rent. That is not groceries. That is not freedom. That is your phone bill, or part of it. It is one less monthly reminder that you are trapped inside a calendar. And $25,000 changes the feeling without changing the life. Now you are looking at roughly $750 a year. Still modest, still quiet, but now the money speaks often enough to be noticed. A utility bill disappears into it, a streaming habit, a month of internet. Small things, but small things are where pressure lives. You start to understand something awkward. Dividends do not first buy luxury, they buy relief. And relief is the first form of wealth your nervous system recognizes. But the checks are still too small to trust, so you keep one eye on the balance and one eye on the calendar, waiting for the next payment that may or may not feel real. And that's when the question starts. If a few dollars can already change the way you breathe, what happens when the number stops feeling symbolic? $50,000 to $100,000. At $50,000 invested, the tone changes. Now the yearly income is around $1,500 at a 3% yield. That is still not freedom. It is closer to a bill with a memory. But now you can begin to see the shape of it. You notice the money arriving every quarter. Not because it is large, because it is regular. There is something strange about regular money. It calms you before it helps you. It tells your mind the world is less fragile than it used to be. At this level, dividends can start covering groceries in pieces. A week here, a pantry refill there. The kind of spending you usually do without thinking about it, until you have to think about it. At $100,000 invested, the annual dividend is around $3,000. Now it starts to touch the parts of life that feel expensive only when they come all at once. Phone bill, groceries, gas, repairs, the soft, annoying costs that make a salary feel thinner than it should. You still need your job, you still need discipline, but the pressure becomes less total. That is the shift. At first, you want dividends because you think they will make you rich. Then you realize they are more useful than that. They make you less cornered. You walk into the store and do not feel dramatic about a carton of eggs. You open the bill and do not immediately feel the day collapse. But the relief has a price. Now you care more about the portfolio than you used to. A bad month doesn't just hurt your money, it touches your confidence. Because once a stream starts feeding you, you don't want to see it dry up. And then you begin to ask a colder question. What happens when the portfolio is no longer a side character in your life? $250,000 to $500,000. At $250,000 invested, the arithmetic becomes serious. At 3%, that is about $7,500 a year. At 4%, it is $10,000. Now the checks are no longer symbolic. They have weight. They can carry a decision. This is the level where people start saying the wrong thing. They say, almost there, but your body knows better. Because $250,000 does not just buy income, it buys options. It can pay a portion of rent in many places. It can cover insurance. It can absorb a bad month without forcing panic into your voice. It can turn a job from a survival requirement into a negotiation. That is a dangerous kind of peace. It looks calm from the outside. Inside, it changes your standards. At $500,000 invested, the annual dividend is around $15,000 at 3%. Now you can feel the floor under your life getting thicker. This does not mean you are done. It means the emergency is less convincing. The rent is still there. The grocery receipts still arrive. The phone still rings when money is due. But now the portfolio is paying a visible share of reality. And with that comes a new emotion, not happiness, responsibility. Because once your money starts paying your bills, you stop treating it like a number on a screen. You begin treating it like a worker, and workers have to be protected. So you become more careful, less dramatic, more aware of the difference between a good dividend and a fragile one. You learn that yield is not the same as safety, that high numbers can hide weak foundations, that money which looks generous on paper can feel nervous in real life. This is where the story gets quieter, because the dream was never just to earn dividends. It was to stop depending on every single paycheck to keep your life upright. But even here, something remains unresolved. You are safer, not free, and the gap between those two words still matters.
$1 million. At $1 million invested, the air changes. At 3%, the portfolio pays about $30,000 a year. At 4%, it is closer to $40,000. That is no longer pocket money. That is not side income. That is a second life trying to form inside the first one. Now the money can cover a bare-bones lifestyle in some places. Now it can carry a modest rent, utilities, groceries, the ordinary things that used to drain your energy before the month even began. And the strange part is this: the number looks cleaner than the feeling, because the feeling is more complicated. You should feel free. Some days you do. Some days you feel exposed. A portfolio this size creates a new kind of vigilance. You check markets more often than you admit. A bad week bothers you more than it should, not because you need the money today, but because you know what it represents. You know how long it took. You know what every deposit cost you, every delay, every ignored temptation, every time you chose ownership over consumption. That history sits inside the account. At this level, dividends begin buying back time in an honest way. Not all your time, not even most of it, but enough to make your choices less desperate. You can say no faster. You can wait longer. You can think before reacting. That is a form of wealth most people never see on a spreadsheet. The account is large now, but so is the responsibility to keep it from being destroyed by impatience, inflation, bad habits, or the quiet arrogance that comes when you finally feel safe. Because safety has its own danger. It makes people careless, and careless money rarely stays loyal. So, even with $1 million invested, you are still not at the end. You are at the point where the consequences get expensive. Then the question becomes harder. If $1 million buys you breathing room, what does true independence actually cost? At $1.5 million invested, the math starts to feel like a door opening. At 3%, the portfolio pays about $45,000 a year. At 4%, it is about $60,000. Now you can live on dividends in a real practical sense if your lifestyle stays grounded, not luxurious, grounded. That distinction matters because this number does not erase the world. It only changes your relationship to it. Now a bill is a bill, not a verdict. Now a bad week is an inconvenience, not a threat to your identity. Now you can let time pass without immediately turning it into income. That is the part people imagine when they fantasize about passive income. But the real feeling is quieter. It is waking up and realizing no one owns your morning yet. Still, this level carries a cost most people do not count. When the money starts paying for your life starts asking bigger questions. Why are you still doing this job? Why do you keep the habits that no longer fit you? Why do you spend like someone who still feels trapped? The portfolio cannot answer those questions for you. It can only make them impossible to ignore. And that is the final shift. At first, you wanted dividends to pay your phone bill, then your groceries, then your rent, then your freedom. But the real purchase was something quieter. You were buying back the right to move through the day without fear sitting beside you.
That is what the numbers were trying to say all along. $10,000 buys a signal. $25,000 buys relief. $50,000 buys breathing room. $100,000 buys pressure off the table. $250,000 and $500,000 buy options. $1 million buys leverage. $1,500,000 buys time, or at least enough time to notice what your life looks like without panic running it. And now you are back at the beginning. Same screen, same balance, same quiet room. Only now you understand the real question was never, how much do you need invested? It was this: how much money does it take before your mornings stop feeling owned?